Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Marjorie Bolero Horton, and I'm your moderator for today's information session. Thank you all for coming. I know it was very short notice, but we thought it was very important to invite you to this session. And it's for applicants who are awaiting the CAPE, IB, or A-levels, because those grades have not yet been received. And for the program, the MBBS here at the UWI Mona in the Faculty of Medical Sciences. Now, the UWI is a pace setter among universities in the region. And if you have been following on the trends, you will notice that the UWI, our ranking is now placed, and every time I go in, I'm so proud to see that we are now ranked 37th among the universities in Latin America and the Caribbean. Can you give us a hand, you know? Thank you. The medical sciences is the faculty that is the most long-standing here at the UWI. We started in 1948 with 33 students. Now, the faculty has 8 programs currently, and the UWI as a whole has about 50,000 students, and UWI Mona is the largest with about 20,000 students. We celebrate, or we are still celebrating our 70 years of service, our 70th anniversary, and I have a t-shirt over there for maybe some lucky person that has 70 years of service, 70 years of leadership. And at this time, we would like to recognize our viewers who are online, watching UWI TV across the region, because we've set it up for those persons as well, and for those at WJC. Can we see the WJC persons? When you can't, we won't be able to. I saw them earlier. Yes, there they are. So let's give them a wave. Yes. So that's how we do it here at the UWI. So we recognize those. The presentation will be in 2 parts today. And it's going to be a presentation, brief presentation by the Dean of the Faculty, Dr. Tomlin Paul. I'll introduce him more a little later. And a question and answer. I'm sure that you have lots of burning questions once he has spoken. And we will give you some time, not only for those who are here, but from WJC, as well as we'll be receiving questions via email, Twitter, and some of our Facebook. We will be responding to those questions during the session. So today we have with us the members of the Faculty of Medical Sciences, the Dean, who you'll see in a moment if you don't yet know him, and then we have Dr. Gusto Williams, and she is from the basic medical sciences, okay, that department. Mrs. Donna Foster, she is from the admissions section, Office of the Campus Registrar, admission section, and we have our acting senior assistant registrar from the admission section, Mr. Jonathan Archie. I see my colleague, Mrs. Brown, as well, and there are some other persons who are on the outside. The Dean, we're not going to make it a very long session. So I'm going to now introduce our Dean. The Dean, Dr. Tomlin Paul, he's a Dean of the Faculty of Medical Sciences, and he has a background in family medicine and public health, and has been with the UWI for over 30 years. He doesn't look it though. He is the holder of numerous awards, including the Vice Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. And Dr. Paul took over as Dean in the academic year 2017-2018. Could we welcome the Dean, please?
Thanks very much, Mrs. Bolero Horton. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to those of you here at Mona. Welcome to our WJC folks. Let me say first of all, it's really a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for accepting the invitation and for turning out. We hope we can have a good evening together. You actually, let me see, just by a show of hands, how many of you are potential students of the university? All right. WJC? Let me see. Let me see your hands. All right, so that looks like more than 50%. Now, parents who are in the room, you can also raise your hands, you know. I said potential students. Could be any discipline, right? Not just MBBS. So if you want to do, we have, Mrs. Bolero Horton told you about the medical faculty programs, but we have a host of other programs at UWI that some new ones, some traditional ones, some really excellent programs that you can certainly take also. So we wanted to meet with you briefly, just to share with you with regards to the admission process and where we are. And so we invited, the persons who were invited today are students, parents of those of you who applied and who are awaiting CAPE results. Now, so those results are going to be out fairly soon. And as we make that deliberation, we wanted to talk to you a little bit. Now, a little bit of background very quickly. So Mrs. Bolero Horton said we are celebrating 70 years. We are very proud of that because our faculty actually was the first faculty of the university. We started in 1948. And so we always carry that flag as, you know, being the first comers. And today we have grown beyond the MBBS program, although we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But we also have now, just for information, in case you didn't know, I think it's my job as Dean just to remind you, to share with you, as you come into the faculty from day one of the points I make is that we are training pretty much within the Faculty of Medical Sciences, we are training the health team. So we train physicians, and most people know about our physician program. And some people, that's all they hear about and they think about. But we also have a large nursing school. We train 150 nurses per year in the basic nursing degree program, and we have advanced programs in nursing, like critical care nursing, psychiatric nursing, and so on. We have a dentistry program. We have a very good dental school that's up and running. Our dentists, we have graduated several cohorts of dentists, dental surgeons, and they're serving throughout the region. We have a long-standing physical therapy program, PT. That's a program that, again, we see high demand and good interest in PT. We train diagnostic imaging practitioners, so persons who will work with the doctors to do the x-rays and to do the CAT scans and the ultrasounds, etc. We also train diagnostic imaging practitioners. We have a program in basic medical science, so if you want to get into research, you want to look at the science that applies to medicine, the basic sciences, that's physiology, anatomy, biochemistry, pharmacology, molecular medicine, molecular biology. You can do that basic science, basic medical science program. And we have a pharmacology program, a pharmacy program, sorry, PharmD, Doctor of Pharmacy program. And that's a program that the doors are open for graduates with CAPE qualifications also. I think many persons don't know of it. It's one of our younger programs, so it's doing very well. Our faculty who initiated it and started the program is with us this evening, Dr. Gossu Williams, right here in the front. And we are very proud of the growth in that program and the quality moving forward. So that's a Doctor of Pharmacy, which you can get into straight off coming in with CAPE qualifications. We do take advanced practitioners also in there. So what we're seeing really is a high demand for our programs across the faculty. The MBBS program, which is the program that trains physicians, has had a continuous and a growing, I would say a growing demand for spaces in the MBBS program. The last academic year, just to speak to that, we had a large number of well-qualified applicants. And in fact, the numbers were so high that we had to give a large number of advanced offers to these well-qualified applicants. And that's not new. So many students who are coming into this academic year 2018, 2019, were accepted from last year because of the high demand. Now that's not new. I always tell people, I remember when I talk to my students that when I got accepted to medical school, not too long ago, right? You're nodding? So somebody said yes, it looks so. Good. When I got accepted to medical school, I remember getting that, we didn't have email in those days, so I'm kind of giving away my age. So you get a letter or you get a cable. Huh? And I remember getting that cable news saying that I was accepted. But the details of it said, well, you've been accepted to university, and because of the space requirements, we will take you in next year, not this year. So I got an advanced offer, just like many students who are, as I said already, this year in the class got advanced offers. And I recall and I think back about it and I said, well, what would I do? I said, well, I just finished high school, went back to my principal, spoke to my principal, and I said, well, I'm getting into med school, everybody's excited, you got in, and congratulations. What can I do for the year? And principal said, well, we could give you a job as a temporary teacher. I was fortunate. The school accepted me to teach, so I taught physics, biology, and math for that year. And looking back at it, I said, hey, that was actually a blessing in disguise, because during that year, 2 or 3 things happened that I look back and I say that was pretty good stuff. One is that I got a chance to learn physics, math, and biology a little more, because in teaching it, I had to, you really had to come to grips with it. You're teaching Form 1, Form 2, 3 students. The other thing is that I got a salary, got a little income. And the third, well, it's 4 things. The third thing I was able to buy some new shirts. I remember well the shirts I bought with my first salary. I'm very proud I could buy my own clothes. And I think overall I kind of matured. So I came to medical school with that year's experience under my wing, feeling, hey, yeah, ready for this. And again, before I knew it, I graduated. So the time flew quickly, and I looked back and I said, well, it is what it was, getting an advanced offer. But it happened that I got the opportunity to make good use of that time. Now, given the context that we have with the large number of applicants and the large number of well-qualified applicants, we expect that when CAPE results come out in a week or 2, whenever they come forth, that we will have many more well-qualified applicants. And looking at the initial grades for students who have applied, that we expect to have a large cohort of students who are eligible for admission. And so what I want to say to you is that both the parents and students, is that we're expecting that we will, like we had last year, we'll have a number of students, large numbers of students, applicants, who will have advanced offers for entry into the program. So the letter may say, yes, you're offered a place, but for 2019, 2020 academic year. That's the nature of the advanced offer. The other thing from the administrative side, once you get an advanced offer and you accept it, you don't have to reapply. So you get that, you hold it, you say yes, you reply to our admissions office. There's no reapplication for the following year. Your place is secure once you accept it. Within the academic side of things, I told you what I did in my time. I taught and I bought some clothes and I grew up. The opportunity, in case you get an advance offer, the opportunity within the university, our team, we have worked on this, you have the opportunity to enter as a specially admitted student. So for students who may be waiting a year to get in based on the advance offer, you can apply to admissions for special admission. And that special admission may mean that you'll take a mix and match of courses. You can take your foundation courses. University has the MBBS program. All our programs in UWI, we have some courses called foundation courses. Every program, everybody takes those foundation courses. And so they're not unique to the faculty per se. You can take those, and we are putting together packages that you can look at. You can also, if you want to enter in a program of your choice and spend a year doing some other academic work within the university, within another program, you can get that, you can apply for such. So that opportunity would be there for you in case if you get an advanced offer. So the process basically would be, once we get the CAPE grades and we get, let me say to parents and students, we get the CAPE results directly from the CXC organization. And those are well secured. We get all of the content, all of the details, all of the scores that we need. And so that allows us to work in a very efficient manner on the processing. So our systems are designed to have those scores entered very quickly, directly from CAPE. And we can our admissions team puts that together. Once that is put together, our admissions committee will meet. The faculty has an admissions committee. We'll meet and make those decisions. And once those decisions are made, practically within 24 hours, you will get email communication from admissions as to the state of affairs, as to what offer is being made. Now, the last thing I'll say, the second to last thing, is that we have, for the MBBS program, we have students who come in at the, I'll say, the upper end in terms of grades, will get what we call the government-sponsored place. And we have another category of students who receive, get into a category called full fee paying. So in terms of the opportunity you have, you may get you'll get an eligibility letter or a letter of eligibility for a full fee paying position. Now, if you get such a letter, read it carefully. That letter is, and I stress the word eligibility. So what it's saying, you're eligible for entry as a full fee paying student. And the letter will say that what you need to do is to submit documents to show that you can support, that you will be able to support yourself and for the tuition, etc., financially during the time of the program. So your next task is to submit those documents to admissions. The documents you submit, we'll take it, the Office of Student Financing, and we have a team will do a means test. So we look basically to see if everything matches up, and if you then, what you submit is saying, yes, you can afford to pay fees for that program, for this program, for the 5 years. And then once you send that back in and you pass the means test, you then get the offer, the full offer for the full fee paying program. So I make that clear because sometimes you may read, you get a letter, you open it and you said, okay, I got an offer. The sponsored students will get a direct offer, right? But the full fee paying students will get a letter of eligibility, and there's one more step, which is the means test that we need to perform before the final offer letter goes out. So once you choose to accept, we will do that processing, and you will get further information as for registration and so on. So that's it really. That's what we want to share with you in a nutshell. In essence, what I'm saying, we have a very high demand for the MBBS program. All our programs, we're seeing good demands. And it's not a new thing to the faculty. I gave my own example just to say way back when I entered medical school, we still had limited space that students will get advanced offers. So if you get an advanced offer, it's a feather in your cap. It means you're admitted, and you're admitted within the next academic year. But it's a secure place once you accept that offer. All right, so I'm going to pause here. That's really in a nutshell what we want to communicate so that you understand the processing and the overall approach. And we will be open for questions. Mrs. Swart? Yeah?
Yes, we'd like to thank the Dean for that brief but comprehensive presentation. But before we invite your questions, one or two of you have, as I said, we have a token of a UWI mug and a UWI 70. Dean, could you please stay here? Because, yes, 70 anniversary T-shirt. So I invite you now to look beneath or somewhere on your seat, you will see a little piece of paper with masking tape on it. If you feel somewhere, not everyone, just two of them, If you have found it, let me see it. It's a special piece. Don't take off the marking for the, for the chair. Anybody found it yet? No, no, man, that's it. That's not it. It's a... Anybody? It's there. Not the marking for the chair. It has, no. It has a piece of masking tape. So if you took off the wrong one, put it back. Let me see what you have. Is it? No, that's not it. It's masking tape. It is there. No, not you. The staff, you is staff not eligible. It's below, somewhere below, not under the seat itself, but somewhere there. Maybe at the back, the little part of the seat. Nobody has found it yet? Okay, you can look afterwards. If you, we will still have it for you. We're now going to invite the questions for the dean or whoever he will nominate. And for those who are shy, we have some paper, so you can ask for the paper and write your question, but we would invite you to do. I'm going to invite one of our students to be the roving reporter or collector of questions. So here, the persons at WJC, will also acknowledge them at the time. They just need to indicate to us, and they can go to the mic which has been provided. For those we are streaming live to, you can send your question by email. You have the email address, or Facebook or Twitter, and we will respond to, the dean will respond to those questions. Anybody for the first question at this time? To the dean, okay?
Good afternoon. Actually, two questions. First question, what proportion of your intake, your annual intake, belongs to the sponsored category? You said that they were students admitted on the basis of being sponsored, government sponsored?
Yes.
And on the basis of eligibility, financial eligibility, my term. What proportion of your intake annually is now government sponsored?
So we have actually, well, let me clarify too. In terms of all students enter fundamentally on the basis of their academic scores, their performance. So that's the primary, that's the criteria we look at for admission. We have our admission process is based on looking at, in this case for this group, CAPE results. We look at, you have other information you have sent in that talks about yourself and so on. Because the government-sponsored places are limited, we have the students who cannot get those government-sponsored places will have to pay an additional fee. So I think let us not be clear. We're not admitting students on the basis of financial status. It is academic status, academic performance, and because we have the limited number of spaces in the sponsored category, then we have to students who qualify well and who are doing well, we offer them that full fee pay in space. The government-sponsored places are, I would say, less than 50% or so of the overall.
Close to?
But
close to 50%?
But yes. I mean, I don't want to call it a number, but it's we're looking at just about in that region.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
it's not financial status. This is something I think, and some persons do have a sense that, oh, we're taking students based on income. The first point for entry into the faculty is a process that the admissions committee looks at. In fact, our admissions committee does not look at income or fees. The first thing they're looking at is grades and performance and transcript. That's what's in front of that committee. And those decisions are made based on that basis.
So let's look now at the main criteria, grades. What's the cutoff point for entering that government-sponsored cohort?
Well, the processing, again, we do a review of all grades. There's an algorithm for scoring, and based on the scores, we go through and we rank candidates. What we have found over the years, based on demand, we have actually moved sometimes the bar, the cut point, based on what, how many students can actually enter into the upper end, when the competition in terms of performance
So it's
is
not
there.
fixed.
Right, well, it has been fixed for some time, but I said I won't give you a number or a score to say, because the committee would review that process from year to year, and we would, we draw the lines appropriately. But what we ensure, because of the standards in the faculty that we want to keep, is that we are taking the best students in terms of their academic ability. And we certainly want, and I will share with students who are here now, we certainly are, as you come into medicine, we're also interested in your performance as human beings, your caring aspect and all of that. But the scores we're looking at primarily now is your academic scores.
Thank you very much.
All right, welcome.
Thank you, Dean. Here we have a question from YouTube. What is the 50% FMS bursary? And the other is minimum points for entry into the MBBS program.
Okay, let me take the second one first, because it's similar question that was asked. I would say to the students, submit, all of you have applied, we will process and look at your application. It's competitive, and because it's competitive, you will see, and if you know students who have gotten in, we're looking at students who are doing well at the top end. But in terms of a score, we have an algorithm for calculating scores, but it's not something that we're going to put a definitive cut point out. The committee makes that decision, makes the review, and will decide who comes in. The question of 50% bursary. If you get a full fee-paying offer, then you are eligible to apply for a university 50% bursary on your fees. So if you get that letter, remember the first step I tell you, once you get that eligibility letter, send in your stuff, your data, which is, we'll do the means test. Then you get a letter that says, yes, you've passed the means test, or otherwise, if you've passed the means test and you are, right, if you pass the means test, then, and you accept the offer, we give you the offer, you accept it, you are then eligible to apply, if you're a Jamaican student, for the 50% bursary. So the 50% bursary for full fee-paying students is an offer that is, you're eligible if you're Jamaican, and you're eligible to apply for it. Again, now that's another processing that our Office of Student Finance will do, and you will hear from them once you apply if you have met the criteria, and if again, if you qualify for that. So it really is an aid that the university offers to the full fee-paying students. 50% of your tuition is given as a bursary, but you must apply for it, and you'll apply after you get accepted, right? You get an offer after you get accepted.
Thank you, Dean Paul. Any other question?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My question is, so there is a limit to the number of students that can be admitted at any point in time for each year. Question is, what's the capacity? That's one. How many students are now coming over from last year that were admitted last year but brought forward to this year? And how many would be admitted this year? You could answer whether in number, percentage, or ratio. It doesn't really matter.
All right, let me answer in a general sense to say, because we're processing applications. Every day we have students who enter. Not only Cape students enter. Remember, we have students with bachelor's degrees who have done preliminary courses in SciTech faculty. And what I can say is that there's a lot of competition. The numbers are very tight coming into this year. And so I would expect that a large proportion of students who qualify for entry after the Cape will get advance offers because of that limited space that is there. So I'm not going to call a number to cap it because our admission process is ongoing. But the numbers are it's quite competitive, so you would expect that a large proportion of persons applying who meet the criteria when the CAPE grades come out will be getting advanced offers.
Okay, thank you very much, Dean. There's another question here from our YouTube. What percentage of international students is taken into the program each year?
We do open our doors internationally, and each year we get I would say a small number, really a handful of international students. It may vary slightly from year to year. So an international student really would be, in this context, an international student is someone who really is a non-Caribbean student that is not sponsored in any way by their government. So for instance, someone from the UK, US, Canada, a citizen of those countries, for instance, will be international students. So at present, we have just a handful of international students. We are continuing to promote and market the program across the region, internationally also to support the entry of international students, but not really just a few at this point.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Is there anyone at Western Jamaica we are now recognizing? Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon. So my question is in regards to scholarships.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, good afternoon. My question is in regards to scholarships.
Okay, could you give us a moment, please, and we'll sort that out for you. Just give us a moment, and we'll recognize you again. Thank you. Not sure what's happening there. Yes, we had a hand there. Could you go ahead, please?
Good evening. Just want to know, how does the admissions committee go about deciding which of the applicants get advanced offers for entry into another academic year?
So the question is, how does the admission committee make a decision on who gets advance offers? So the first step, the logic is always very, like 1, 2, 3, very simple. The first step, we look at all applicants coming in. We look at our criteria for admission, so we look at academic grades. We have the bio sketch and the co-curricular performance of students. The committee would look at the scores, rank the scores, and make a decision as to who is eligible for entry, full stop. So once you're eligible for entry and we say we'll admit you, when we fill up the quota for the year, then we'll then give advance offers for those students where there's no more space. So basically, an advance offer really means that you have done well, you've qualified, we're accepting you, but we are now full. So it's that process that goes through. First step is to say, yes, how are you doing? You've met the entry criteria, we can take you in, but there's no more space this year. And there's always a ranking, again, based on performance that goes on. But so like I said, last year, many students who qualified and did well were already ranked, and ranked quite well. There was no space, so they will come into this year's class. That's the essence of an advanced offer. An advanced offer, like I had, again, is no sense of I didn't do as well. I look back and I was absolutely delighted to get an offer to study medicine. And I did, coming into the class, I met my colleagues from all over the Caribbean, and we were able to perform. I think our class did very well together as a group of students. So it really is based on space at the end of the day.
Thank you, Dean. Western Jamaica?
Good afternoon. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay, so my question, I have two questions actually. One is in regard to scholarships. The Dean spoke about bursaries. What are the scholarships that are available, if there are any, to incoming students? And the second question is the courses that would be in the year when you're advanced for the other year, do those credits count towards your final degree and your final program? How much are they worth? What are they worth? Yes.
Thank you very much for that question.
Right, so the question was, are there scholarships available to students coming in? We do have our Office of Student Financing has the job for managing scholarships for all our students, and we do have we have quite a few scholarships. I certainly, as dean, I would certainly like to see more scholarships, and we continue to work with private sector and to lobby to get more funding to support students. If you go on the website for the university and you get on the web page, you go to the Office of Student Financing, you will see scholarship options that are available. Bursaries, some of them we call bursaries, outside of the 50% bursary. We have bursaries that may be offered through alumni. Our alumni faculty are quite kind and have been good to the faculty. They have offered bursaries to support students over the years. The UWI Development Endowment Fund, which is a fund that the university has to support a range of activities. They offer scholarships. I just signed off recently on a private pharmaceutical company that is offering scholarships to all our disciplines in the faculty. I was very happy to get that offer from the company. So there are scholarships. Let me make a point too in relation to finance. When you accept your offer, one of the things I'd like you to do is to do some financial planning from day one. And we should put it on our website pretty soon, but we have a listing of all the costs for the MBBS program that will be available to you. So not just tuition fees, but we even worked out, so if a parent is looking to say, well, how much will it really cost to take my child through for this program for the 5 years, we have worked that out for you. Meals, right? All the other things that is involved, because, and I make that point because sometimes we budget, and I think we may budget with just tuition in mind. And then when somebody says, well, hey, you're going to need a diagnostic set. A diagnostic set is that stuff that we use, as everybody should know, to look in your eyes, the ophthalmoscope, and to look in your ears, the otoscope, and the stethoscope, and so on. When the time comes, you find that it's really hard to get those things. So we have tried to lay out the cost of equipment, your support costs, lodgings, if you're living on campus, to give you a sense of what that is. And so we'll make that available to you from early so you could do some planning. Planning is important because whether you are sponsored or full fee paying, you need to look at your budget. And you need to say from year to year, how am I going to pay those fees? When you get an offer letter from Mrs. Foster and her team in admissions, and from Mr. Archie and the team, the first thing how do you feel? You get that offer letter, it says you've been accepted to medical school. Excited? Great, somebody says. Call auntie, uncle, mommy, daddy, parents, everybody abroad, past everybody hears about it. And that's great. So we celebrate with you. And we choose you because we think you're good to come in and get this program done and to be a good physician. But in the exuberance, right, in the excitement of accepting that offer, we'd like you to plan the steps ahead for the next 5 years. So that you come in, you perform well, and we would not like to see the challenges if you probably without good financial planning when you get to year 2, year 3, year 4, that it really gets harder to go up that hill to keep paying the fees. So I think, I would say in accepting the offer, when you get the acceptance letter and you celebrate, you say, thank God I got in, this is really good news, whether advanced offer for this year. Take a breather, the next morning you wake up, put pen to paper and you say, let me plan out the budget. In fact, I would hope some of you have already done that because you're thinking, this is what I'm going to do, so let me put that in place. So it's a long response to the question of scholarships, and I put it in the context because the scholarships that are available, as good as they might be, will not be substantial enough to pay off all the fees throughout. So you've got to put your head to the table and say, what's my contribution? The scholarships, you could say, what if? What if I get the scholarship? Great, in my financial planning. But do look at your numbers as you go forward. The second question was, there were 2 questions.
Credits.
Oh, credits. What happens in the year, if you take an advance offer and you come in and you get specially admitted, would the credits count? The credits that would count would be in particular your foundation courses. The foundation courses are courses that are mandatory for all the programs. If you do those and you pass, they will be accepted on your transcript as a part of the achievement for the program. Right? The other specially admitted courses would be for your development, and some that we can advise you to choose and that we can put together for you would certainly give you some eye-opening and a bit of a, let me say, a head start intellectually with some of the material that you'll face. But the course that will really matter for adding on in terms of your transcript for MBBS will be your foundation courses.
Okay. Thank you, Dean. I'd like to recognize another member of the Faculty of Medical Sciences, Dr. Helen Trotman Edwards, and I think she has a question or she wants to make a comment.
Dr. Trotman Edwards is our Deputy Dean for Teaching and Learning.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to add to what the Dean has said. Just to let you know, if you get the 50% bursary, you are not eligible for the other scholarships. So I think it's important for us to, once they have the 50% bursary, you're not eligible for the other scholarships. And then the second thing, your foundation courses do not add to your credits for your MBBS degree. But you have to have done those foundation courses to be able to get the degree. Okay?
Right, thanks for that clarification. So they are mandatory for the program.
Yes.
They won't affect the credit weighting, but you must pass them before you graduate.
Right. And I think the same applies across the board. You must pass the foundation courses.
Okay, someone was just telling me to make it clear. It's the UWI scholarships you're not eligible for. Outside scholarships you are eligible for. But ones offered through the Office of Student Financing, those are the ones I'm talking about.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good
You
evening.
mentioned quota for the year. What's your quota? What percentage of students do you take in for the year?
The overall, our overall class size is, and in fact I should have said that in my entry discussion, we actually had reduced our class size last year, so that actually added a bit to the advanced offers. Overall, the full class size is 280 in that region, and the upper in that zone. As I said, and that covers all countries of the region. So we have, as you know, the government's, UWI is a University of the West Indies, so the MBBS class is made up of students from Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, across the region. St. Vincent, all of these students come in from their various countries. Yeah.
Thank you, Dean. One YouTube question. When are letters of acceptance sent out? And we'd probably say within hours, right, Mrs. Foster, about 48 hours of the selection being done. But remember, we are going to get the grades. They have to process, the committee meets, and then once that has been done, then the offer is sent out. Sometimes persons are called just to speed up the process. Correct, Mrs. Foster? That's right. Okay, Dean, the next one, can a student who received an advanced offer be government sponsored in the year of entry?
Your advanced offer, the advanced offer simply means that you qualified and we didn't have space. You certainly can be a sponsored student coming in the following year as an advanced offer, right? So you can get an advanced offer for a sponsored place in the 2019-2020 period. Yeah.
Okay. Next YouTube question. Have applicants for the academic year already received provisional acceptances? And we said, the Dean had indicated earlier that we did not make any provisional offers this year. Hence, you're here online to appraise you of what is happening. Will I have to upload my CAPE results as soon as they are released? And the answer is, I think the Dean referred to that earlier as well. You do not have to upload the grades. We are getting them directly from CAPE. So we will get them directly. Only if there is any discrepancy or anything, we will contact you by email or a telephone call. But we do get them directly?
We have a very hard-working admissions team that services the university in the registry, and they're very much on the ball. They work very closely with the faculty, so the faculty and the admissions office are working hand in hand. When something is missing, whatever, I know that our team, Ms. Francis, Mrs. Foster, Mrs. Masha Morgan Allen, she isn't here, but they are following up with students. A lot of phone calls, a lot of tracking, lots of emails. If you ask for a document, it hasn't come in, they will follow through. But let me reiterate again, you don't have to send in your CAPE results. We get them in very good time from CXC.
Okay.
Yeah.
WJC? Any other
Yes,
questions?
Dr. Paul, I'm not here to take up your offer for admission to some other faculty. Just a concerned parent wanting to know how does WJC fit into the admission numbers? You know, is there a quota? Tell us more about the two-year system. I would like to know a little more on that. And my second question is, will there be any kind of psychometric testing or similar evaluation of the applicants? Thank you.
Thanks for the question. So he's asking about WJC.
Yes.
Right. So some years back, we started a small, I'd say, campus at WJC. You know, University UWI has offers training in some programs that are here on the campus and some particular ones in Montego Bay, just across from the airport. If you go down to Montego Bay in Jamaica, you'll see the UWI Western Jamaica campus. Now, it's very much a part of the MONA operation, and for our MBBS program, each year we have a quota of students who are at the WJC campus. They do their first 2 years there, their first 2 years of basic sciences, and then in the third year transfer will come over to MONA to continue. During the clinical years, we also have students doing clinical training, so that's when you really start using your stethoscope and those diagnostic equipment, seeing patients. We have students across Jamaica, in Montego Bay, Falmouth, Savlamar, across the various hospitals working. Each year at WJC, we take approximately 20 plus students, and so it's a smaller class. Many of the students who are at WJC now, I know, are students who actually are from the geographical area of Western Jamaica, and so they have found it convenient to be there. Some students may opt to go there, smaller class size, etc. The academic experience at WJC is the same academic coverage and content for the MONA class. And we are quite pleased with over the years with the performance of that smaller campus, that smaller unit of students at WJC. So within the overall admission process that we're talking about today, that I've referred to so far, there will be a cohort, a group of students who will be offered a place at WJC. We already have, I know, some numbers of students there getting ready for this coming academic year.
So yes, psychometric tests will be done. Mm-hmm.
Right. The question was, are we doing psychometric testing in relation to entry? The answer is right now, no. There's no psychometrics, no formal psychometrics. We do have a committee at present, a subcommittee of the admissions committee, working on looking at building out a more comprehensive assessment process for admissions, which would include academic scores and other scores that relate to, as you mentioned, we're looking at the potential for psychometrics, looking at the other characteristics, the other variables. So that's a work in progress. We have a committee that's giving some advice on that as we speak, but at present, the dominant performing criteria is academic performance at this point.
Thank you. Anybody else at WJC? Okay, we'll take another WJC, then we come right back here.
Hi, good evening. And so once the CAPE results are out, how are the applications going to be processed? Are they going to be processed on a first come, first served basis? Like persons who have applied first, will they be processed first?
No, so the question is, just to repeat, when the CAPE results come out, is it on a first come, first serve basis? So back to the 1, 2, 3, we're looking at the eligibility of giving you an offer is based on academic performance. So the ranking is going to be based on academic performance, and we make decisions based on that. So it's not, you know, we're not going to rank first come, first serve. We rank based on the performance of the individual students in terms of their academic criteria, academic scores coming in.
Thank you very much, Dean. Please go ahead.
Okay, good evening. My question is, what if in the CAPE grades there's an error in the grading? What do you do then if, like, when you apply for remarking, you get better grades? So what if that had cost your acceptance? What steps does that student take now?
All right, maybe I can ask Mrs. Foster, you want to say a word on that? Mrs. Foster from our admissions. Yeah. Admissions office.
Good evening, everybody. The answer to that question is you wouldn't get that grade until the following year. So you wouldn't be able to get accepted for this year until the following year. The error that is made, it's not an error that is made by Mona, but by CXE. So we wouldn't be able to give you an offer based on that. But of course, if it's corrected, the next year you would be considered.
So
But then you'd have to reapply.
Reapplication is the process?
Say that again?
You're saying that reapplication is the process? Then?
Yes, you'd have to reapply.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. So I've been hearing something about paying a commitment fee. So I'd want some clarity on that, please.
Okay, so you see, I'm so proud we have an excellent team at Mona. I'm going to ask our senior assistant registrar, Mr. Jonathan Archie, to answer that.
Hi, good evening. So the commitment fee was a fee required by persons who have been given an offer to pay to hold their space at the university. So students here or applicants here would not have been given an offer, so there would be no commitment fee at this point. When you are given the offer though and you accept, you will then be required to pay the commitment fee. Okay?
But if you got an offer to the science and technology, you might have been asked to pay the commitment fee. If you get accepted to the MBBS program, then that will automatically transfer to that program. Yes. While we're waiting, okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So earlier, the dean said that they'll rank the subjects as soon as they're in, the results are in, they'll rank them. Is it that they'll rank them based on the subjects that are required for the MBBS program? Or, for instance, some students do 3 subjects, some do 4, some might do 7. So is it that you'll rank them in totality, or you just use the subjects that are actually required?
So we look at the subjects that are required. Your core requirement, remember, is you must have biology and chemistry at CAPE and one other subject. And we'll take your best scores. Right? So, follow me? So we won't, so if, you know, we won't take, if your biochem grades are a must. Your bio and chem, absolutely. And then we'll take the best. If you did 6 other CAPE, we'll take the best of the one that is relevant.
So you have the system that will just automatically rank these students, and then you'll choose from that, right? So just looking at those 3 subjects, the biology, the chemistry, and that third double unit subject.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
So let me just, WJC, just to check. Are you hearing us when the questions are asked?
Are you hearing the questions?
Give a thumbs up if you're hearing.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that looks good. Looks good. Yeah.
Go ahead, please. Where's the next person for the mic? Okay, here's a question, Dean. Oh, well, what are the requirements for transfer students to enter the MBBS program?
Transferring from.
Suppose it's from
SciTech?
science and technology.
I'm gonna ask Mrs. Foster to give us a clear.
If you're transferring from the Faculty of Science and Technology, then you will be required to have the same biology, chemistry, and a third subject area. However, let us say you got a 1 for both units of CAPE, for say, let us say chemistry in CAPE. Then when you get to Science and Technology, if you choose to redo chemistry and you get, say, a B, then we would take the grade that you obtain for CAPE. So we would look at the best grades. So we could always look at your CAPE grades as well as those from Science and Technology.
Thank you, Mrs. Foster. Any other question? Okay,
Good
please
evening.
go ahead.
I have
Good evening.
2 questions, actually. The first one is in regards to deferrals. So when, let's say you have 100 slots available and 120 people have gotten the grades required, do you take their essays into account? How do you decide which 20 people are going to be deferred to the following year? Is it in alphabetical order? What?
So if you, right, so what you're saying, if we...
What do you do?
I think she made advanced offer, not deferral.
Advanced offer, right.
Yes.
So once you have qualified, those 20 students that you're referring to, for instance, who have met the qualifications for entry, and we have, we are happy with everything, we've reviewed their application, they will be given an advanced offer. Right? So the advance, again, there is always a bit of toss-up here with space. So we have filled this year, let's say, use your analogy of 100 and 120. Let's say we've cut off at 100, the class is full. The 20 who qualify, who are as good students, as good applicants as the 100, we will teach them in the next year's class.
Yes, but is it that those were the 20 that applied last, or those were the 20 that had the worst essays out of the batch, or how do you decide which 20?
Right, so the ranking is really based on the academic performance. So it's based on your academic scores coming in from CAPE, or your bachelor's, or your...
Yes, but they all have the same grades. They all have the ones. They have the academic qualifications.
Right. So we will, for some, what we find, I'll tell you, the core curricular scores that we get, because remember you filled out an autobiography essay, and you sent in a record of service, giving service, public service, community service. At present, when we go through those and read the essays and look at the co-curricular performance, we find that there is tremendous agreement or similarity across the board. So I find, in fact, I'm very impressed with the service that my students are doing coming into the faculty, because I think every single student who applies would show that they've worked with Red Cross, they've been volunteer, scouts, and lots of community service. And so there is very close similarity with students who will have similar academic scores and the co-curricular performances. So we do go through those essays, we look at them, but at present it's not a lot of discrimination we're getting from those. The question from my WJC colleague a while ago about psychometric testing and all of that, as I said, we have a subcommittee that's looking now to see how we can pull everything together and look perhaps at some additional criteria that would perhaps give us a little more discrimination going forward. So at the end of the day, what we're looking at largely is the academic, what comes out in the mix, to put it that way, is the academic performance of our students.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is just a hypothetical. Let's say I'm under the impression that once you accept an offer, whether provisional or not, it automatically declines the rest of them. So if you were accepted to SciTech and then you got a provisional to dentistry or PharmD, if you didn't get the grades for the provisional, then you definitely wouldn't be getting into med. So that automatically means that you're not in med, you're not in dentistry or pharmacy or whatever, and you now decline the SciTech. So do you just not go to school? What do you do in?
No, what happens is you can ask for them to refresh the offer for the subsequent one.
Even though I didn't pay a commitment fee and I...
No, that's, yes, because you will then pay the commitment fee.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And I think, let me just add, I like your question, really nice, complicated scenario. Whenever you have something like that, you put that scenario in place and you have a doubt like, OMG, what do I do? Huh? What do you do? We have an admissions office that is ready to serve, so you could pick up the phone and call or email, Mrs. Foster, send a message to say, I'm not sure what to do next. Give me some help. And we'll guide you and respond to you there.
Okay. I just want to, she's mentioned deferral. Just want to say that persons, once you have gotten an offer, let's say something comes up, you get a scholarship to go and visit Rome and you want to take the year and see the world, or like one young lady did, she deferred the offer, went to teach music, and then she came back. That is also possible. So if you get an offer and you're not quite sure, you're just ready as yet, as you say, you want a little bit more maturity and you had gotten a firm offer, you can ask for a deferral. You just accept your offer and then you ask for a deferral. So that is also in the mix, but you have to let us know within time because it's so limited the number of spaces that we have for medical sciences. So just giving you another option. This young man here in black, okay, after I asked, he was waiting a long time, so I acknowledged him. We'll come back to you. Yes? Yes. Could you just pass it down for me, please? Thank you. Then black.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Well, I heard you talking about when it comes to academics. All right, so I guess they have a point system, I heard. So I guess if you have, 3 grade 1s for unit 1, I guess biochemistry and your third subject, you would have 15 points. And then if you get those same grades or better, I guess you would get full 30 points. Now, if let's say let's say you only take 120 people for the sponsored space. Let's say 100 and let's say
160.
60, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
To be honest, most persons, I'm sure most persons' extracurriculars kind of add up. It's really hard to pick a really, what should I say? It's really hard to choose students, really and truly. How does it really happen? And how does the ranking actually, plus persons, and another question is that persons actually do way more subjects than others. Do they actually get some preference or something else? Because I realize that you're emphasizing academics. So if you're emphasizing academics, are you just going to emphasize it full? Some people do 7 capes, get 7 ones, but yet still the judge based same, just like persons are doing 3 subjects. You know what I mean? So is it the same?
All right, so the question is similar to your colleague at the back about the 100, 120 scenario. And I think you made the point too that it's hard to sort of match up everyone's co-curricular because what we're seeing is very high correlation with students. Really, you guys put out a lot of effort to get that service and so on, which we like because in medicine we like you to have a heart and to go out and give. To put your question back, if we, and Mrs. Bolera Horton said, if you have, let's say we have 120 spaces and we have 160 students who are all with the same scores, we're going to take the 120. Everybody gets, in fact, everybody gets an offer. 120 gets an offer for this year, and the balance will get an advanced offer for the following year. It's really hard at the end of the day to cut through in that kind of scenario giving, because everybody will be accepted once you meet the grade.
Okay, I understand.
Just not for the
There's
same
a-
year.
That's not for the same year.
Yes.
That's deep.
You realize how difficult it is because you
When
find
he said
it
it,
difficult
was,
to
he said it's
articulating,
difficult.
yes.
And the single
Okay.
units do not count.
And, you're right, your question about the extra subjects.
Yeah, the single
No,
units don't
we're counting the 3 subjects, biochem and 1 other subject. So if you do 7 CAPE, 7 ones, that's good. I mean, that certainly is
on
hats
third
off.
subject, as it relates to the third subject, everyone kind of knows that every CAPE subject is not created equally. In essence, I'm not gonna be. No, they're not created equally. So, would persons that do, let's say, the full mix of sciences, or persons that do, probably pure math as a third subject or fourth subject, or physics or any other any subject, would they get a preference?
Everybody has to do mathematics and physics at least at CSEC. And everybody must have biology and chemistry. So that's equal across wherever you can take it. The third one is the one that you have an option because we don't want to tie you down to. Suppose you favor something over another. It could be Spanish, could be French. So.
It's okay, I understand.
Yes, all right, thank you. Mona, Western Jamaica, coming back to you. Mona, Western Jamaica, any question from you? Okay, let's go back here. Yes, please go ahead. Where's the mic? Oh, you have a question? Yes. Okay, her hand was up, but okay, go ahead quickly, and I'll take hers after.
Good afternoon, everyone. Another hypothetical question. Say, for example, a student was accepted to MBBS for this year, and they accepted the offer, and then right before school begins, they decide that they don't want to do it anymore. Do you then offer somebody else? What happens in that situation?
Yeah, so if you drop out, we always have, technically, in a sense, there's a sort of waiting list, because with somebody who got an advanced offer could then be given an offer to fill that space that you're dropping out of. Yeah. So if you drop out last minute, then we will fill the space.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Deferral, as we were speaking about before, do you still have to pay, after you get accepted and you've passed all the criteria to get in, do you still have to pay the $30,000, how much? However
20.
much it is, 20, yes, that down payment.
Or the commitment fee.
Commitment fee, right.
Yes, what is the policy on that, Mr. Archie? They got an offer this year, not taking it up this year, want it for next year. Do they still have to pay? They have to accept the offer to get a deferral. Do they still need to pay the commitment this year, or when next year? Because we have to resend them the offer, although they have a firm offer. They pay it next year. We wouldn't.
So that would be, the commitment fee would be applicable to the year of entry.
Of entry.
So the year of entry at that point being
Is
2019. 2020, the deadline would be the July 31st, 2019. So you wouldn't have to pay it now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next young lady at the back there. Do we have anybody from Mona, Western Jamaica? No? Okay.
Good evening again. The Dean mentioned earlier that there is a quota of 280 students per year. What is keeping that number where it is at? That's number one. And two, how many of those places are already taken? What is the intake outside of the advanced offers that is available for students who are supposed to be coming in this year? And my last question is, I think what everybody is trying to get in terms of the advanced offers is what is essentially the discriminating factor that differentiates the students who's coming in this year versus the person who is getting an advanced offer. Is it that, hey, I already applied last year and I sat out there and did over a subject, or I have more hours than such a person, or something else? So what is essentially the discriminating factor that the admission committee takes into account to decide which students get an advanced offer versus which one comes in this year?
Okay, so there's a question again about the numbers. A little bit of clarification again. At this point, and I said 280, the numbers of students that out of this CAPE group and those who are online, WJC, others who may not be here, what I can tell you, as I said, we are doing this admission process. The committee is reviewing. The chances of getting a space this year is very small. Many students will get advance offers for next year. I can't give you a number out of how many, but given how we have started, and last year, this is not new. Last year we had, and we've seen this in previous years. So the committee will review all of the results as they come in, all of the CAPE results. And the ranking by academic scores, we will choose students to fill, again, based on where they rank academically, to fill the spaces that are available. The other students who qualify just as well will get advance offers. And where you have, I think you raised it, somebody else raised it, it's very difficult to pull out of the hat some of the other things that we're looking at and say, well, really, because we see such similarity across the board. We're working, as I said, we're working to see if we can get a little more discrimination going forward. But at the end of the day, everyone who qualifies will get in. It really is a question of this year versus next year based on space. Space is the main limiting factor that will decide whether you get an advance offer. On the list of students that we're considering, the ranking is by your academic scores. Where the academic scores are all similar and the co-curricular scores are all similar, then we will take, we take numbers from there. There really isn't a specific ranking otherwise that we can use. But we can assure you that once you qualify, you will get in to the program, whether this year or next year. What keeps the number at 280? That's an excellent question, really. And let me put it in the context of maybe one word or two words: maintaining quality in terms of where we are. So we have increased our numbers over the years. My days in med school, the class size was less than half of what we are now. So it's less than 50% was the total class size when I entered med school. As we have increased based on the demand and the high demand and the high applications, we look at a number of factors. We look at our sites for clinical training. So I mentioned we have a range of sites across Jamaica that we're training. We look at our lab capacity. This building is still, in my opinion, a relatively new building that was put up in relation to managing the numbers. So the numbers that we take are matched against basically what we believe and what we are committed to delivering in terms of a quality program for you, in terms of space and so on. And I think, so implied in your question perhaps as well, why can't we take more? Because there's such high demand. And that would have to be considered in relation to another level of expansion. When you remember, your training as doctors involves two sets of things. You have a stage 1 program where you learn all the basic sciences. My good colleague here, Dr. Maxine Gosser-Williams, is going to take you through pharmacology and the physiology and so on, together with other colleagues. And then once you get that under your belt, you master that, we take you into the clinical years. In the clinical years, you have to see patients. And so we don't want to have situations where you can't see patients and so on. So we are looking at capacity to deliver, to meet that 280.
Okay.
Good evening. I was about to ask you the same question that you were answering, because for, say, you have 80 students waiting last year to start the program, so you only can take 200. What if you have 120 waiting? Because the numbers keep adding up from year to year. But as you said, the quality, and I don't think number really differ the quality, because if they have a good teacher like you, I think the quality will maintain. And it's all about standard. And if their students are committed, I don't think the quality will differ, because a lot of persons are here.
So, Mrs. Bolero Horton, can you take her name for me? She'll get an extra 5 points when she enters. She's already commending me as such a good teacher.
It's my niece entering, and I'm saying, because I'm thinking about it, you know, and just as about to ask you, everything that I was planning to ask you, you were speaking on it, because I'm saying, yes, the school might, and I don't think, trust me, I think you will have space, can build another building. They will find the space. No, seriously, you is humongous. And you see where that you have that long wall where the cannons are, we don't use the cannon anymore. So I think another building can go there.
Dean, you have to give her 2 more points.
2 more points.
Yes.
2 more points, right?
We have students all over. And my niece, her desire is to become a neurologist. So she'll be here a very long time. And I don't want her to wait 2 more years, because to specialize, it's going to take you almost 11 years to study.
Yeah.
So by the time you're 30, and she needs to marry too. So thinking about expanding and putting up another building, or maybe up the number to probably 20 more, say 300. I don't know. But I think, and as I said before, once you're a lecturer like you, because you look like a man of impeccable standard, and set the standard, once the standard is set, your student will follow. I believe that. Trust me, I believe that. Once you set the standard and you say, student, this is what I look for and this is what I want you to aim for. Because if you don't push them to aim high, they will just do mediocre things. So you set the standard and let them follow you.
All right. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. I appreciate the comments and the insight. The quality, I said managing quality is important. And we manage our quality internally. That's one, the first step. So we have what we call an internal quality assurance process. And that's a whole talk in itself. But the point is we do look at what we do. We have committees that's reviewing. My deputy dean, my colleague lecturers, my assistant registrar and team, we are always measuring standards and tracking what we do, looking to improve. However, we also have what we call an external quality assurance process. That's otherwise known as accreditation. And so we are also guided by the accreditation reviews, which will suggest this is what we're seeing, this is how you can pitch your numbers. They look at everything from numbers to process to teaching, and we respond to them in that manner. So at present, the numbers are, there's a state, what I'll call it equilibrium, where the numbers that we have are allowing us to deliver to the best standard. I like your entrepreneurial view. Quite seriously, I think one of the things that the whole industry of creating a physician, the process of creating a physician is quite a complex one. It is a mix of academics, and today you hear this word academics coming up a lot. But don't be betrayed, because what you're looking for in 5 years' time when you come in, 5, 6 years' time when you graduate as a physician, what we're looking for is not only those good grades in anatomy and biochemistry. We're looking for a lot of, some people call them soft skills, but in my opinion, they're really the hard skills that matter. We're looking for how you communicate, how you deal with people. Do you have a heart? Do you have this thing called compassion? Can you show empathy? Do you show respect? Do you dress like a professional? So there's a host of things that we have to also work on. And when you put that into the mix of the picture, in addition to clinical skills, and the clinical skill of the physician is one that you acquire over time. And that's why some people say, why is medicine so long? 5 years, and then another year internship, and then have to specialize? You get better and better at it, because as you engage with patients and you apply that knowledge that Dr. Gosser Williams is giving you, and you say, well, what is this patient telling me by this sign? Patient may not be able to talk, but their right eye is closed, they can't open it from morning, and they can't tell you anything, and they've lost their speech. And you're going to make sense of that. So that process of interpreting what we call clinical science, taking it back to basic science knowledge, is a complex one. And to groom and create a practitioner who, when you graduate, somebody in casualty and A&E or in your private practice, wherever, wants the confidence in you that you can be a personal physician. They can tell you their stuff. You're going to be confidential, right? You can put it together, so you're going to be competent, and you're going to say, never mind. So you're going to be caring. To get that quality physician that we're talking about takes some time. And we don't want to sacrifice our standards along the way. That's not a pushback on what you're saying. I very much appreciate that you look around the campus and you say, those canons can go, don't it? But no, well, you know, colleagues, students, friends, parents, our campus is, as much as we are growing and this building that you're in here was built on an archaeological site, really. And in fact, before the building was put up, we had to get our colleague archaeologists in history department to come in and remove remains, archaeological material that was here. And so we are very proud to have the history of the campus. So the aqueduct has a significant history, and I would pray that I would never see the day when that aqueduct is given up for a building. So we do care about the environment too. That's part of, in fact, that's part of One Health. As we groom our physicians, let's look at the green, the grass, and so on. But I like your spirit about progress, but we have to manage it and look at it going forward. So we take your points going forward.
Thank you, Dean. I know we have a question, but give me a moment, please. Is there any other question from Mona Western Jamaica campus? No? Okay, please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I was asking concerning the point system. So say I do 4 subjects, and this year I get the ones in biochemistry and then in Spanish, but I also do physics, and I got a 2 in physics. So then for the coming year now, what if it's that I get a 2 in Spanish and the 1 in physics? Is it that you guys take the better grades, or is it that it has to be carried over
Well, if
for the subject?
if those are your 3 subjects, we'll count all the grades. If those are your 3 subjects that you have done, we'll count those, pretty much. You follow? So if you, those are 3 CAPE subjects you're talking about? Right, so if you have 3 CAPE subjects that you did, and you have biochemistry and another subject, we'll count all of those.
So it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be Unit 1 and Unit 2 of the subject.
Right, we count Unit 1 and Unit 2 scores in all 3 subjects.
I don't think you guys are understanding.
Okay, try.
Come
Come
what
again.
I'm asking is that, say I get a 1 in Spanish this year, but for Unit 2, I get a 2, but I get a 1 in physics. Does that 1 count? Is it that you take the better grades?
Okay, it is.
You want to answer? Let me ask this first.
Okay. That subject that you're asking about, is that the 3rd subject?
Yes, it is.
No. If you get a 1 in Spanish and a 2 in physics, we can only use Unit 1 and 2 of Spanish or physics, not a combination.
All right.
That's the 3rd subject.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Foster. Dean, we have a question online. For students coming from the U.S. who completed the IB degree, doesn't have CAPE Bio and Chemistry, plus the additional course, how does the admissions and acceptance process go? How am I considered for a space in the program? Or how is the IB equivalent to CAPE? So it's, I suppose, how is the IB equivalent to CAPE?
So if you have physics, I go back to that. You must have physics at O level as one of your CSEC subjects, and you would have done bio and chemistry within your IB program. We would also do a rating of your scores, your performance in the IB degree program. So we have a matrix algorithm that we apply for the IB that will calculate a rating score, and then you become, we'll also put you into call it the competitive pool for ranking. So you must have physics at CSEC in general. All of you here, I'm assuming who have applied, have physics under your belt. If you don't, we can't consider you. And you must have bio and chem in your CAPE or IB degree. And then we will do a ranking and a rating of the IB qualification. We have a system for that. And then you'll get a ranking, and a decision is made on that.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Any more questions? Yes. Okay.
Good afternoon. Let's say you were accepted for anatomy and they advance you for medicine, is it that you can do the anatomy for the first year and then you go to your medicine?
Yeah. Everybody is nodding yes, and you can. So you can come in and do that for that year and then join the medicine class following year.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm a concerned parent. It's very frustrating. As a parent, I'm listening, and to be honest, I'm really frustrated sitting here. I wouldn't want to be in my daughter's shoe. I'm telling you the honest truth. I'm just wondering if for students who have waited this long to be accepted, and then to hear at the end that, I'm sorry, you're not accepted or you're asked to wait for another year. Is there a guidance, is there some counseling program put in place? No, I'm serious, because I'm just putting myself in the student's shoe.
Yes, fair enough.
They have studied, and I'm putting my daughter, I'm placing myself in my daughter's shoe here. Because this is something that she has waited for years to be accepted into the University of the West Indies medical facility. And then to hear at the end, oh, I'm sorry, you'll have to be advanced for another year. Or no, you won't be accepted into medicine at all. Is there some counseling program put in place to counsel these students so that they don't get crazy? Because this is something that they have been waited on for a very long time. I'm really concerned here.
All right, so I'll ask my colleagues to say something about that too. But let me say, I remember last year when I, just around admissions, just after the admission results went out, I spent a considerable amount of time in my office with parents and their children or their child, counseling about those who were not. Most of the students I was seeing, most of the parents who were coming to me were, what you're relating, Mom. Came to see me, and I made the time to see them and to have a word with them and to listen and to understand the dilemma that they were facing in their lives at this point. And I take your point very, very strongly, because it varies. For some people, well, all right, I'll wait the year and I'll find something to do. When I got, and I reflect on my time, when I got the offer, I got the advanced offer, and maybe for a moment I said, well, but then, all right, let me see what I can do, and I found something to do. But for some persons who are very focused on getting in right now, it can seem, and I put it this way, it can seem catastrophic. It can seem catastrophic, like the end of the world. And so I do not underestimate any parent or child who comes to me and says, I want to talk to you because I'm really distressed about this offer letter I got, which says my child got in, but for next year, I will see you, have a chat with you, and so on. I know also that my admissions office will also give you some guidance. And I think Mrs. Bolero-Horton, you had some, you saying
yes, and
otherwise?
additionally, I think, just to say, Dean, that is why we organized this session, because we didn't want to just throw it at you. We wanted you to come to air some of the, preempt you. And so you can hear what is happening, so you can anticipate in a way and start thinking about, if I were to be given an advanced offer, what would I do with my year? So if you start thinking about it, sometimes, some persons have come back to us to say, I am very glad I didn't come in that year because something else comes on, or they use the opportunity and they're more mature. And so we are giving you this option this time, because this is the first of this kind that we are having. And we're glad we have it, because so many questions are coming out, Dean. Yeah. What we are willing sometimes for us, our admissions office, some of us in the marketing, recruitment, and communications office, because we go to the schools and we share with you. We also have our career and placement office, and they can give you some guidance into alternate decisions if you want to do. Plus, we are also saying that you could start the year, you could do some programs, something else, and the time goes by so quickly. We know you're disappointed, but sometimes we can't, the university can't change some of these things. We feel it for you, but some things we just have to go along with in that part. But if you do have the medical sciences email addresses on the invitation, you can send in your questions. If you have any questions after this, whether you're online or here, you could send in the questions and we'll try as much as possible to help you. But so we're giving you some suggestions as to what you could do. We're not saying you're not getting in. We don't know who's going to get in as yet. We don't have the grades. But we want to let you know that we do care. Hence, the dean agreed quickly to say, let's have a conversation. So this is a conversation to help you in advance, whatever is going to be the cost. Some of the persons who have been excited about getting the offer, some of those same ones will come and say, may I defer until next year because something comes up.
So I want to add to that. If you get an offer, whether for this year or next year, so whether now or advanced, I think you must congratulate yourself to start with, right? Congratulate yourself. You have done well, and you have, let's say, passed the eligibility for entry. And I just want to put it in perspective. It's not false consolation, but we have to look at the bigger context. The University of the West Indies, for all its life, since 1948, has had a program where someone coming straight out of high school can enter medical school. So you can get in at the age of 18, 19 if you get an advance offer. Some of you are 18 and maybe another year you'll be 19. And what we find is that our young students like yourself who come in, 18, 19, 20, do very well. Do very well. So we have graduates all over the world, and you guys would have heard this already, who, in fact, anytime I travel and I meet people, say, where are you from? UWI? Say, oh my God, I have one of your residents on my ward rungs, and I just don't know how he knows so much, and how they can diagnose these cases, and how they can do that and that and that. So, in addition, many of our graduates have gone on and are leading practitioners all over the world, and in Jamaica, and Trinidad and Barbados, throughout the Caribbean. Let me make my point. The medical schools abroad, many of them will not take you straight out of Cape. Even advanced offer, that 1 year later, they still won't take you. They want you to do a first degree and then come in.
That's great.
So I waited a year, and I got in at the tender age of 19, right? If I had gone to study abroad, I would have had to probably get in around, what, 24, 23, 22? But I graduated. When I graduated, I said, but how old am I? Check my age. I was 23 years old, coming out of UWI with an MBBS degree. And that is after an advance offer. I was coming out of UWI with an MBBS degree as a young physician, ready to take on internship and do stuff. So I'm saying that to put it in a context too, that you're going to be okay. You're going to be all right. Once we commit to taking you in, whether this year or next year, you're going to come out fine. Once you put your head to the wheel and work with us, we will get you through to become one of the finest physicians at any level, anywhere. So don't despair too much. And Mom, I take your point. I like your point. I like your question about support. The faculty is one that has built in a lot of support structures over the years. We have an office called our Personal and Professional Development Office. We set that up deliberately because when you come in, we know that it is not just about the books. We want to nurture you, support you through the program. So, but come talk to us before. If you really have, I would say our doors are open. If you really feel that your child is in a crisis after any communication they get from us, we don't want that you just stay and deal with it yourself. Call Mrs. Foster, call Miss Prudence Francis, call Mrs. Bolero Horton, call me. My deputy dean is laughing. Call my deputy dean, Dr. Helen Trotman Edwards. But we're here for you. This is really, really an important point you're making.
Thank you very much. Is there any other question? Okay, before I take that question, did anyone find the paper I'm talking about? No? So therefore, Dean, I am going to, no, I am going to, someone found it? What it says at the back? Okay. All right, Dean, I'm going to ask you to, this lady here with the back. May I have your name, please? Stanitia Palmer. I think Miss Palmer deserves this.
All right, so I don't have to give her.
So we will give you a little.
I don't have to give her any extra marks when she comes in.
No,
give you a T-shirt.
So we'll
now.
give her a T-shirt. Thank you for understanding. May we have the question as soon as we have handed out the T-shirt. So this is our 70th anniversary T-shirt, 70 years of service, 70 years of leadership. Okay. Yes, the question? Yes, thank you.
Firstly, I'd like to congratulate you on having this meeting. I think as a parent, I feel that parents' concern when you see your child studying so hard and it's been her dream for so many years. So firstly, congrats. I'm appreciating this conversation.
Thank you.
I have two questions. One is, I was a little concerned when you mentioned that there were few spaces left due to the advanced placement from last year. Can you give us an idea of how many advanced placements from last year? Because when I kind of did a quick look around, I think we're double to 200 in here, so it means pretty much half of the kids in here are going to get accepted. And I think that it's important for the I'm not calling you kids, for you young people, to have a realistic expectation come the end of August. Because for I can speak for my daughter. We explored Canada, we explored England, we explored the States, and we came to the summation that UWI, Mona, was the best med school for her. So she has deliberately chosen Mona to now hear that the probability of her getting in is pretty small in terms of the advanced placements from last year and the placements you have available this year, regardless of whether she gets the 4 ones that she has worked so tirelessly for. My second question is, in terms of the academic criteria for placement, are her CSEC grades considered in that when you're trying to get down to the remaining grades? Is it just CAPE 1 and 2, or is it CSEC as well?
Yes, I'll answer the second question first. The academic processing is done on the CAPE scores. We do look at the CSEC, so you should have a passing set of CSEC subjects. Physics, as I said, is mandatory. Certainly math, biology, chemistry, English. But in terms of ranking, the ranking is done on CAPE, right, not the CSEC. I said, and someone had asked pretty much the same question about numbers. The numbers are not many, but we are working, and I think the drive for this meeting was really understanding that there will be a challenge getting in everyone this year. So I don't want to give a specific head count. And, there's this, people start counting, well, so many. But we will process in a fair manner. And as I said, once you can get in, if it's not this year, it's next year. So it's I would say at this point, if we have, and it's hard to estimate the second set of results. We hope, I trust everyone would have done as well. In fact, we tend to see a correlation between first CAPE 1 and CAPE 2. Generally, there's a strong correlation. Persons tend to persist doing well. And if that's the case, then, as I said before, we'd have a very large number of students who are applying this year getting in for next year. Yeah.
Yes,
there's a question that no one asked, and let me just ask it and answer it. If you get accepted as a full fee paying student this year or anytime, then and the question is, this is a question, can I convert to a sponsored student after year 1 or year 2 if I have something else to show, for instance, or if I do well in the course? The answer to that question is that once you accept the offer as a full fee paying student, then you remain, because you actually sign off to that, you remain as a full fee paying student for the program. So that's an acceptance for the life of the program. And the opportunity to convert back to, because you've already been accepted, that process has been made, we have put you into the school. So we won't be looking back to say, okay, after year 2, let's see how many we are shifting back to sponsored. And technically, the sponsored places, we tend not to have a dropout or so to say that we have spaces being created. But the policy, though, is that once you get accepted with that particular, in whatever quota of students or cohort, you remain with that cohort.
Thank
you.
Yeah? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you two? 5. Okay, so please start.
Good evening again. I'm asking a hypothetical question. What if there are students here who they got the offer last year for the full fee payment, so it was non-sponsored program. Based on their grades, they were eligible, but they decided to sit out the year to get the grades needed in order to access the government-sponsored program. How do you distinguish between giving them preference to enter this year versus a student who is coming straight out of high school, who has the same academic, they have met the same academic standard? How do you distinguish between that? And also, there is a point system that we know of, that we were told during a forum during high school. We were given a point system in terms of a grade 1, 5 points, grade 2, it's a 4 point. Does that point system still stand? Is it still?
Right. So a student who chooses to, let's say, not come in this year, even not accept an offer, and takes the year to redo some CAPE subjects. And so they're getting grades coming out now in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, based on some CAPEs that they have repeated. Those scores, those performances will come into the pool. We'll go through the process once we get the CAPE scores, and they will be competing with students who would have been sitting for the first time. So we'll rank up the scores based on the CAPE, the best set of CAPE, the best set of results that they now bring to the table based on their repeat. And so they'll be ranked alongside everybody else. They'll be in the same pool, technically. So the answer is, and the same rating scale will apply. Yeah. So there's no difference. They're not treated any differently, really, having waited a year and repeated some CAPEs to do a little better. They're treated in a similar, equitable manner as everyone who might have been coming in on the first shot.
Okay, just a moment before. Thank you, Dean. Before I take that, is there anyone at Mona WJC at this time for a question? Okay, go ahead, please. So, there's a question at Mona? Oh, no, I think this is the same person. Yes. Okay, one person. Let's take this one first, and then we'll come back to you. Go ahead, please. And come back as soon as we get connected. Go ahead, please.
Hello. First of all, I was about to ask what that girl at the back was inquiring about regarding the repeating CAPE subjects in order to get necessary credits. This doesn't, just to be clear, this doesn't apply to individuals who have gotten advanced offers, right? Once you get accepted, whatever payment plan you're on, you stay on that.
Yeah. Once you click and accept an offer, whatever plan, whatever option, that means you're committing to the university to say, I'm coming. You've given me this offer. Thank you very much. I will be there under this agreement, under this arrangement. Okay. So if you choose not to accept the offer and you say, well, you know what, I'm going to go do some stuff and reapply next year, then that's the scenario where we would reconsider you. But once you're in, technically, even if you're getting in next year, technically you're in. And so we wouldn't have to consider you again. As I said earlier, that your application is secure, your space is secure, you're in the program, you won't be coming back to admissions committee again once you have accepted that offer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Mona JC, are we on? Not as yet. Okay, we'll get back to you. May I have the lady in yellow?
Good evening, thank you. Just a quick question. If you get a place as full fee paid, do you have to show means for the full 5 years or just the first year?
Yeah, the means test would consider the 5 years of the program. So you'd want to see, and I think I said a little bit, maybe a long spiel earlier on, that what we've seen, Dr. Trotman Edwards, myself, our team, I think over the years, and one, we try to gain and improve on what we do. We have seen, in my opinion, we have seen too many students who, having accepted the offer, by come in and they're doing well, and by third, fourth year, they're really challenged because the fees that the money that they've put out to pay fees have really gone down to a minimum, and they're unable to continue or unable to afford, and there's a lot of challenges trying to support and find a way. So we do encourage, we do look for some evidence that you can find a recurring support annually, or some evidence to say this is where it will come from for the next 5 years to give you. In one way, it probably is saying we're helping you to do some financial planning as you make that commitment going forward. Yeah.
Thank you, Dean. Mona JC, are you on as yet?
Okay, so my question is, if, for example, you get placed in the advancement program for next year, but you got accepted for the non-sponsored program, if in that 1 year time period, you decide to do the regular, I think that's what it's called, and you get a better score, for example, you get straight A's, right? Is it that for the incoming year that you're going to actually start the MBBS program, is it that you can get back onto the sponsored program for that year or the rest of the 5 years?
Okay. Thanks. So the question is, if you get in the advanced, if you get in for next year as a full fee paying student, that's, as an advanced offer, can you come back and get back into the sponsored place if you're coming back in with some improved grades? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah? Right. So I was saying earlier, just a minute ago, that once you accept the offer, you click, tick, accept, you sign off on stuff, you're signing off with a commitment, and the university will take that commitment to say, I'm accepting this place under these conditions. So, and technically you're in. You're signing a letter that says, I'm in under these conditions. So to come back and renegotiate entry in a different capacity is not something that we can do once you've made that commitment. So if you don't want to accept, you have that choice. You could say, well, that's it, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna do something and reapply. You can choose to do that for as an option.
Okay.
All right?
Did we answer your question?
Oh, yes, you did.
Was your question answered? Nothing. Thank you. I think Dean, how we're going to do, we have 4 persons. We're going to take those questions, and then we will wrap up the session. Thank you. May I have the questions in the order that we had said?
All right.
Who is the next person? Anybody else?
Good evening.
Okay.
Yes. The point has been stressed concerning academics, which seems to be the greatest priority. What if there's a situation in which somebody wishes to change career, like for example from registered nursing, who have been working for several years in the field of health within the hospital? Is there great consideration or preference for such an individual or those individuals?
All right, the primary qualifications for entry. So the first thing I'll ask you is, do you have your CAPE, biochemistry, your other subject, or do you have a first degree in the health sciences with biology and chemistry? And if the answer is yes, we'll then say, fine, the experience you have as a health practitioner would be something we'll consider, we'd look at on the table in part your autobiographical sketch and your co-curricular activities. And I think as we move more and more, that question you're asking will become even more important as we move forward in successive years to look at pulling our admission process together in a broader holistic sense, where to a large extent we're saying it's academics and some of the stuff you're talking about, some of the other experiences that you have that we bring to the table. So the first thing is the nursing experience by itself will not be enough for you to matriculate, to get into the program. You've got to come back to the core subjects that we have and the core regulations. But a nursing, a health professional experience is something that we would value with you coming into the program.
Okay, thank you, Dean.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
If you accept the full fee payment, is there a possibility after the first year, after you complete the first year, you can apply for an open scholarship? And what does the open scholarship entail?
Okay.
Could I ask one of my colleagues
Yeah,
about the open scholarship?
We could answer.
Adrian?
The persons with the full fee paying, you're not eligible for any UWI scholarship, so you wouldn't be eligible for that. But external scholarships, yes. Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay, one more, and then we are going to close.
Oh,
out.
hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
As it relates to like student accommodation, for example, like say example, I get accepted to Chancellor Hall. What's the process after that? Like, what do I do after that? And also, on the halls, do you have like your own bathroom? Like, do you have to share a shower or I don't really know. So.
Okay. The halls of residence, some of them you share, you might have a roommate and you share bathroom. Some of them you have bathroom for 2 students. Some of them, the older halls, you do have communal bathrooms, but you have a certain number. What is the process? Once you have been accepted to the university, you must also apply for residence, to the hall of residence. If you have done so, once you get accepted by your preferred hall, then you will pay, I think, 30%. There's an amount for you to pay. They will communicate that to you. You'll be told when you're expected to move into the hall. And yes? Yes, you're welcome. Mrs. Foster or Mr. Archie, do we have any information on the fees? Now we want to give them any deadlines once they get accepted. Remember, if you got an offer to another faculty now and you're awaiting your MBBS acceptance, and you pay your commitment fee or you pay an extra amount, if you have some, don't keep it and spend it off. Pay it, because it will go towards your ID and your other expenses. The university allows you a certain time by which to pay your semester 1 fee. We will communicate that to you as well. You may pay 50% for those who are having challenges. You pay 25%. You can go online into the portal, we send you the information, and you can apply for deferred payment or payment, like installment, but you have to finish paying by a certain time for each semester. So you can pay for semester 1 or you can pay your full fee. So if you have the full fee, don't keep it back, pay it up so you don't use it up. But if you can't, if you're having challenges, then you can apply for kind of delayed payment or installments. So, yes, and that's for the bursary. Any other question? Mona WJC, anybody else there? Any other question? We really, Dean, we want to thank you very much. I would like you to give the Dean a hand, please. I think this came about because the Dean was concerned, some of the concerns expressed here today, and we thought that if he dealt with it in this manner, you could get to ask all the questions relating to the concerns. And we're happy that the parents are here. And I want to ask my colleagues from the UWI Mona to stand for me now, including WJC. And stand, let them see you. We have persons from the Dean's office, Miss Goldburn, Miss Roberts, Miss Brown. We have O'Dane from the Marketing, Recruitment and Communications Office, Mrs. Beverly Bogle from the Marketing, Recruitment and Communications Office, Miss Prudence Francis and Mrs. Bethune. We have our MITS team. We want to thank them. We have some of our students, the students in the T-shirts there who are our ushers. And most of all, I'm asking the UWI team to give you all who are here today a big thank you. Come on, UWI, stand and give them a thank you. I did them already. Prim, yes, Prim was here earlier. Yes, we want to thank you very much for coming out. We know it was short notice, but we realized that it was important for us to have a conversation with you. And what a good conversation it was. For those who are at Mona Western Jamaica, thank you for coming in as well. Those persons, Mona Western Jamaica, thank you. Wave. Are you seeing us? Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for coming out. We look forward to seeing you here at the University of the West Indies. Those of you who are listening online, watching UWI TV, thank you very much. So we thank the entire team, all those who have put anything in place, have done anything for this session. We thank you. Thank you again. And we have some refreshments for you outside. Not... So it's like a UWI student already. We invite you to partake of it. But for those who have any question now, if you want, you might be able, I don't know if the Dean is tired now, he has been talking, but he might be able to answer a few questions. Dr. Trotman Edwards, are you going to be available? Maybe for another few minutes, Dr. Gossel Williams will be available. The admissions team, Mr. Archie, Mrs. Foster, Mrs. Francis, Miss Francis, and Mrs. Bethune, and the marketing person. So if you have any questions, we invite you to come and have a chat with us, if anything. Did anybody find the papers yet? Okay. So thank you all very much, and have a good evening.
You don't have to register again, I suppose, because there's a line.
Oh, okay. If you would... While go and have your refreshment, we'll have some persons take a note of